Welcome to video number 4 of 5 of the True Happiness series and how to achieve it all the time, no matter what. Okay, now we're going to go into how your feelings, which are your emotions, which are your happiness or unhappiness, remember positive and negative emotions, really work. Your own negative emotion is the only unhappiness, pain, and suffering that exists. Okay, now what we need to do here is to overcome this paradigm that most people have, that what is making them unhappy is their events, their relationships, the situations, circumstances, the problems that they have, their failures, any number of things that are all external to their life. These are not unhappiness, pain, or suffering. Remember, pain and suffering refers to emotional pain and suffering. Okay? Your only UPS in life is your own negative emotions. It's purely how you feel in relation to such things. During such situations or afterwards or about them, it doesn't matter. Okay? So we need to separate the two things. One is the external situation. The other is you and how you feel. Okay? How you feel is your emotional energies, which is something internal to you that you can control directly. You will never be able to control all this stuff, and you don't need to be happy all the time. And these things here, these are not the unhappiness. The unhappiness is the emotion itself. Okay? And these external situations, they are never the cause of your negative emotion or UPS. This does not cause this. I know it looks like it does because there's a correlation that whenever something like this happens, you feel bad and you say, well, this causes this, but it actually doesn't. There's something in between the event and the emotion, which is you, your identities, and it is these that cause or provoke your emotions, okay? I'll go a little deeper here, okay? You here, in relationship to the events of your life, assume an identity. There are 4 flavors of identity that we cover in the book, okay? And your emotions are your love or anti-love for yourself according to one of these identities. You'll never be able to control all these external circumstances, okay? But you can control who you are, the identity that you are taking on, activating in relationship to those events, which identity directly triggers or causes your negative emotion. Okay, so it's very important, okay, that you begin to understand that unhappiness, pain, and suffering is not the events of the situation. It's purely within you, these emotions. And if you want to handle these emotions, eliminate the negatives and create positives, you have to work on these energies themselves, the identities and the emotions, not on the external effects. You can't control these. And it's not worth bothering with. Life's going to do whatever it does, okay? As we've always said, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but you cannot pin your happiness on events because they're always going to be positive and negative. You have to separate and make it completely independent. Your experience, your emotions, which is independent because it's energies inside of your psychanic being, inside of your space here. And these energies you can work with directly. Okay, now we're going to go through a series of definitions of words that I'll be using. Event. A very general word to cover any external or physical thing, situation, or occurrence that you perceive and experience. It includes what others says or do, anything that happens, conditions, and circumstances. Okay, so everything external going on outside in your life, that's an event. Okay, now a trigger event is anything out here going on in your life that activates, triggers negative emotions in you. Now, it triggers it. It doesn't cause or create them. It's just an opportunity for your negative emotions that are in you all the time, that are charges of energy around you all the time, for these to come in on you. Okay? That's a trigger event. Okay? An activation. An activation is the triggering and movement of an emotion energy mass from your subconscious, where it's out of your experience, into your consciousness or perception, where you can experience and feel it. Okay, so here's your consciousness. I can feel thoughts and emotions, any energies within this space. I feel, I can perceive them. Okay, now it's not physical. That we're talking, you remember, you are an aware will entity. You are consciousness, which is the power to perceive and experience non-physical energy, and to perceive physical energy through the body and the transduction of the brain up into your consciousness. Okay, and then out beyond this point here, all around you, okay, for meters around you, is your subconscious, which is just space there where your consciousness, your perception doesn't reach out that far to be able to experience everything out in your subconscious. Okay? So you experience your activations as moments of pain, of negative emotions, and therefore moments of unhappiness, pain, and suffering. Okay? All right, now, we have already seen MOPS, correctly? You remember what a MOP was, that a MOP is a moment of pleasure, which is the temporary and fleeting activation, okay, of positive emotions by some external trigger event, a positive trigger. Okay? And these, we have said, and say again, are a mirage of happiness. They're a momentary flash of happiness, okay? What they're doing is they're triggering positive energy, positive, negative emotion energy masses to move from your subconscious into your consciousness, where you experience them as happiness, okay, as positive emotions. But they are just a mirage of happiness for 3 reasons, okay? Number 1, you can't always get what you want. Sometimes you lose, sometimes you win. Sometimes events are positive, sometimes they're negative. That's the nature of life. It's not going to change for you. Okay? You cannot control what others say and do. You cannot control what happens. Kings and emperors lose battles. They get overthrown. They get assassinated. They can't control what happens to them in spite of all their supposedly power. Okay? And the second thing is, MOPS are always fleeting. They always pass because they're not a true interior creation of happiness by you, the being, all the time, no matter what. No, they're a dependency on the external world. No, I need this to make me feel good. I need this thing to happen and this thing to happen. And you're always out there trying to get these, manipulate the external worlds to try to trigger your positive emotions. Okay? And that doesn't always work. You don't always get what you want. And you're going to lose it. They're always going to pass. They're not going to last very long. And your negative emotions are still there. They still come in, even in the moment of your happiness, you know, and you have, you know, a month, a day, a week of happiness, and boom, something negative happened, and there you are, all activated again. Okay, so MOPS in no way eliminate your activation, negative activations, okay? And they keep you at the effect dependent on, that is addicted to the external world. I need my MOPS. I need things to give me MOPS to make me feel good. Okay? That's not a strategy, viable strategy for happiness. Okay? So the opposite of a MOP is a MOD. Okay? MOD is moment of dolor. Dolor is Latin for pain. So we can't use pain because we already use pay with MOP, a moment of pleasure. So instead of moment of pain, we say moment of dolor, which is Latin for pain, which means that it's an activation of negative emotion, which means it's going to be a moment of unhappiness, pain, and suffering. I say a moment, it can be a few minutes, it can be days, it can be months. Some people bring charges of grief or regret or failure with them for years. They're in an activation of that. Okay? So the opposite of a MOP, which is the activation of your positive energies, is a MOD, which is the activation of your negative energies, of your negative emotions, which are pain and which are unhappiness, pain, and suffering. That's a MOD. Okay? So we got MOPs, positive, MODs down here. Both of them are activations of your subconscious charges, masses of energy, positive or negative, into consciousness triggered by some external event, positive or negative. Obviously, positive events trigger MOPS and negative events triggers MODs. Okay? So the MOD is an activation of negative energy. Okay? Remember, an activation is the movement, the triggering of a charge of energy from subconscious, way out there, into your consciousness where you're feeling it and you're experiencing it. Okay? Now, after a while, these will recede back into your subconscious. Okay? Okay, so now definitions number 5. Okay? We want to see PEMs and NIMs. PEMs are your positive energy masses in your subconscious, and your NIMs are your negative emotional masses in your subconscious, okay? Your NIMs you created in your childhood. Every time you were cried and you were upset and they didn't let you cry it out completely and they told you to hush up, or they locked you away in the bathroom, or they spanked you or whipped you or whatever, okay? So that negative emotion mass that you had stays charged up in your subconsciousness, okay? And we have hundreds of these by the time we reach adulthood, okay? So a MOP is the triggering of a PEM, correct? MOPs trigger positive energy masses, and MODs are triggering of your NIMs, your negative energy masses, okay? We're going to see this in a moment in more diagrams. Okay. Again, so when some external event triggers a PEN, you experience a MOP, a moment of pleasure. A positive energy mass comes from your subconscious into your conscious experience. It's a positive emotion activation, and as we said, this is the mirage of happiness. Okay, it looks like happiness, it feels like happiness, but it's caused externally, it depends on external things, it always passes, and it's not under your control, and you can't make it last. Okay, so it's not true happiness, and it does nothing to terminate all your negative masses, which keep activating and coming onto you every time there's a negative trigger in your life. Okay, so the opposite of this, okay, we've got a polarity here, remember. Our positive emotions, our key is UPS, negative emotions. And the other one is, okay, external events trigger a negative emotional mass, which is a moment of dolor, of pain. Okay, and that's a negative emo activation, and that is the only unhappiness, pain, and suffering that exists in life. It is the activations of your own masses, NIMs, masses of negative emotion energy in your subconscious that get triggered into consciousness where you experience them. Okay? Now, they are triggered by external events, but external events do not create or cause the emotion. The emotion you are carrying around with you all the time in your subconscious. Okay. You are a non-physical life energy entity, okay, of consciousness and will. You are an aware will unit. You are a being. You are a non-physical being, which is a spirit being. You're non-physical. And you are, the technical name for that, TT, is a psychic. Okay, Psycanics is the science, the study of psychons and their nature and how their experience operates, okay? You are a psychic, which is a unit of awareness, of consciousness and will. You have other properties, but that's all that we're going to see right now. You have other characteristics beyond aware will, okay? So you are a spiritual entity. A globe of consciousness is the power to experience, and of will, which is the power to decide and direct energies, including especially your own internal energies like your thoughts and your emotions and your identities. Okay, so consciousness is your power to perceive, experience, and thereby to know. Okay, now, your subconscious is all the transphysical space. Okay, now, I have right here around me a physical space filled with air and light and things, right? But also, I am a non-physical being, and as such, I exist in a transphysical or non-physical, if you want, dimension. Okay? Your thoughts are not physical. You can't go out and catch them in a net. You can't go down to the hardware and tell somebody, give me a foot of happiness and a kilo of joy and a meter of love. You know, but we can't measure them. We can't detect these things with physical instruments because they're not physical energies. They exist in a higher dimension. And you exist in that higher dimension. In fact, you exist in a higher dimension, and you are only able to come to and focus in this dimension through the instrument, the vehicle of your body. So you globe as a spirit come in and connect into a body, and the body is like your machine, your robot to move around and experience this world. Okay? But you bring with you your psychanics perceptions of non-physical energies, which are your emotions and your thoughts. Okay? And so you have an area of consciousness, which is relatively small. You can experience thoughts and energies, memories, values, knowledge, anything that comes within this area. And then outside of that, you have a warehouse of all your non-physical thoughts. Your memories, the knowledge, the studies you've seen, the pictures, your past life, everything that you've lived, people that you've known, places that you've gone, your beliefs, your religion, your politics, your character, your personality, everything, okay, that programs and makes you a unique human individual with a unique identity, personality, character, likes and dislikes, talents and blind spots, all of that, okay? All of that is like a computer program, and it's all non-physical. It's all part of you, psych, and here. Now, your body is physical, but your body is like an animal. You also have an enormous part of you that is non-physical programming that is your human identity complex. Okay, I'm getting more complex and advanced than I want to get here. Okay. So your subconscious is full of your psychanic energies, okay? And you have millions of these. All your memories, everything you've ever done or lived, it's there in a memory. It's in like a recording. Knowledge, everything you've learned formally, informally in the school, okay? Everything that, socialization, culturalization, customs, all of this stuff is programs there. It's in energies here in your subconscious, and it's acting on you because it's around you, and it shapes and forms and molds your experience and your concept of who you are. And then there you have all your beliefs, your religion, your politics, your values, what's important to you in life, you know, your personality. Are you introvert or extrovert? Okay, your likes and dislikes, your aversions, your talents. Okay, and your gifts. All of this stuff here is an energy field here that is subconscious to you because you don't normally perceive it, but it's there and it's acting on you. Okay, so that's the subconscious. It's just the space outside of your area of perception, which is your consciousness. So your subconsciousness is the residence of all your NIMs. Remember, NIMs are your masses of negative emotion. They're your charges of negative emotion. And you have several hundred of them that you have been accumulating since childhood. Okay? So here in this, we see here is consciousness. Okay? Here is you, the will. And here is your subconscious. Okay? So your subconscious here is full of all of these NIMs. Okay? Your depression, your anger, your sadness, your guilt, your anxiety, your hate, your fear, all of that energy is stored up around you in these masses of charges of emotional charge. Okay? And then an activation is when some external event, here's the external event, this X I'm putting over here, okay? That external event then triggers a charge to move from your subconscious, remember this is subconscious here, okay, into your conscious or experience, okay? And you there experience that as anger, okay? This is an activation, okay? This is a mod, okay? The mod is the result of the activation. Here's a trigger. Over here is is TX. That represents any event in your life. It doesn't matter what it is. Somebody says something you don't like, or does something that you don't like, or you lose your job, or you get sick. It doesn't matter what it is, okay? Somebody cuts you off in traffic, okay? And that stimulates this charge or mass of negative emotional energy. We're using anger as an example. And it moves in on you from your consciousness, subconscious, to your consciousness, where you experience that energy, that flavor of emotion, which in this case is anger, okay? So you are in a mod here. You have a moment of dolor, a time of being activated in anger, a time of unhappiness, pain, and suffering, because you're experiencing this emotional energy charge, okay? So that's an anger mod or an anger activation, okay? Okay, so here it is again, okay? Here's the trigger, okay? The trigger stimulates that anger, okay? In all anger, there's something you want that you can't get. You can't get the other person to listen to you, to pay attention and do what you want. You can't get somebody in traffic to respect you. They cut you off, and that's no respect. It doesn't matter which, okay? So the trigger here is going to be something that you couldn't get, which triggered your anger. I can't do it. Okay, and this is a mod. This is an activation of a charge of anger, and the mod is your experience. It's a moment of dolor, a time of unhappiness, pain, and suffering due to the experience of these emotional charges. Okay, and as I said, your subconscious here is full of these. It has hundreds of them. Okay. And don't despair about that. You can discreate all of them. In fact, there's a way to even discreate them wholesale once you learn how to do it basically. Okay, so now we can go to what we call the fatal hallucination in which most people live. Okay, we call it the fatal hallucination because it is fatal to your happiness. It kills your possibility of happiness. As long as you are in this hallucination, it is impossible to achieve true happiness. Okay? Now, and to be clear, I want to stress, okay, right now, we are in the hallucination, and we are in how your emotions do not work, but everybody thinks they do work, okay? So we're talking about an illusion, a hallucination about how your emotions work. In the fatal hallucination, the person believes that trigger events causes my neg-emo. And then we believe he hurt me. He caused my activation, my anger. He caused my suffering. Okay? So the hallucination that other people causes your mod activations or your UPS, okay, leads to this belief sequence, okay? He causes my anger, okay, and I'm over here and then I experience it. Therefore, okay, I need to go and use anger to attack him, to invalidate him, to stop, change, or punish him so that he stops causing my pain and suffering in life. Remember that all of this is an illusion. It's all a hallucination. Your triggers do not cause your negative emotions. The fatal hallucination leads to the external quest on the negative side. We've seen the external quest on the positive side of looking for mops to cause happiness. Now we're looking at the external quest on the negative side of trying to stop triggers that appear in this hallucination to cause my negative experience, my negative emotions. Okay, so we're looking on the negative side of it here. Okay, and we have the situation that any trigger event, it can be a person, an accident, not getting a raise, whatever is going on in your life, right? And it doesn't have to be a person. Remember, it can be an event. And we have the illusion that that event or that person caused my activation, my mod, my anger, my sadness, my guilt, my resentment, my regret, my hate, my depression, whatever, correct? Although people usually don't know what causes their depression, okay? So the person then creates in his mind this idea that to stop my UPS, and then all I have to do is stop the trigger or change it or punish it so that he doesn't keep doing it. Okay? So in the external quest, you attack others with negative energy, with anger, invalidation, criticism. Okay? And you're trying to control your triggers. And this is the root cause of 90+% of all relationship problems. Okay? That external person, the other person, what they say or does, causes my anger. Okay? Therefore, to stop my anger, I need to go over here and attack that person and reproach them and try to change them and blame them for hurting me. Okay? All of this mechanism, there's more to it. Okay? In fact, it's quite deep and extensive. We will see in the courses on the Psycanics of relationships. Okay? Number two, we've seen attacking the trigger. The number two aspect of the external quest on the negative side is to try to control experience by using substances to suppress that experience, okay? And these substances quickly become addictions, okay? So we have any trigger event causing my activations, my negative emotions, my sadness, loneliness, anger, my disappointment, disillusion, depression, guilt, whatever you got going on in your negative energy. Remember, it's all one scale of energy, your emotions, okay? And you're moving up and down this spectrum all the time from negative emotions, different flavors of the negative emotions. There are many of them, okay? Into the high positive emotions when you get a mop, and again you go back down here and you're blaming it all on the trigger, okay? So sometimes you can't attack the trigger. There's nothing you can do about a car accident or your boss denying you a raise or most of the things in your life. You know, the stock market goes down and you lose a lot of money, okay? And people day to day, they are living in chronic negative experience of unhappiness, of anxiety, of worry, of sadness, of loneliness, right? And so what we do is we use substances like marijuana, alcohol, pills, tranquilizers, cigarettes, tobacco, every kind of substance that has an ability to suppress our negative experience and hopefully to also give us a mop. Like marijuana might give you a high, but it also wipes out or covers over your loneliness or your sadness. Okay? So when you use these substances, this is why people, these substances use them, okay? Whether they're legal tranquilizers and things like Valium, the stuff, one of the best-selling, Prozac, to suppress your experience, or they're illegal, okay? People use these to try to change, to control their experience, to suppress negative and try to cause positive. And they become addictions because the person keeps going back to them. Okay, not only do they work at some level, but the force of the addiction over the person is the force of his own will to avoid his negative experience. Therefore, with Psycanics, we can eliminate addictions very quickly. In a couple of hours of energy processing, you can eliminate an addiction. Okay? And a third aspect of the external quest to control my experience are distractor activities, which also become addictions. These are things like watching too much TV, doing too much social media, talking on the cell phone all the time because you want to feel lonely or you're worried about your loved ones, going gambling, going out for retail therapy, that is going shopping and buying things to feel better, going to parties, all the things and activities that people do. And these can become addictive also, in the same way that substances come, okay? So we have the situation that any trigger event activates a mod, and the person, to avoid his negative experience, then goes into these distractor activities. And when these work for him, then he keeps going back to them and back to them and back to them. And he feels compelled to it. But underneath that force of compulsion is this decision, this desire, this will not to feel my sadness or my guilt or resentment or whatever the person has underneath that he's wiping out. So again, with Psycanics being technology, transformation technology, we can eliminate distractor addictions to activities. Okay? So here in the illusions, okay, we're going to see these illusions right here on the next slide. Here in the fatal illusions of external causing my psychanic experience, we include external events cause my internal psychic experience, okay? We just saw this. On the positive side is the search for mops to make me feel good, and of course the use of substance addictions and activity addictions in order to feel good. And on the bottom side, we have attacking the trigger when he's a person, especially trying to get him to stop doing what he's doing because I'm in the belief that he's hurting me, he's causing my pain, he's the cause of my anger, my sadness, or whatever I'm feeling. Okay, and using substances, alcohol, tobacco, drugs, tranquilizers, whatever, to plaster over, suppress that experience, and using the distractor activities to also avoid feeling the negative experience. Okay? So we're in this fatal hallucination that I can achieve happiness by controlling externals. Okay? Accumulating mops on the positive and stopping my mods or triggers on the negative, or suppressing my experience with substance activities. That is the impossible dream of the external quest for happiness. That is the fatal illusion that external events cause your internal psychanic experience. This illusion we've got to break. Okay? So in this fatal illusion, externals causing psychanic experience includes this great error of thinking. Okay? Triggers create my negative emotions newly in each moment. Okay? This is totally incorrect. Okay? No. You are carrying around with you in your subconscious your NIMS, your negative energy masses that you've been creating and accumulating since childhood. And they're there just beyond your consciousness, beyond your experience, waiting any trigger to activate and move from your subconscious into your consciousness. Okay? So the trigger doesn't cause or create these. Okay? It just stimulates it to move into consciousness. Like let's say you pass a tree in the street, and that tree looks like one that was in your front yard when you was in a child. Okay? So that tree in present time activates the memory of the house where you lived in that tree in your front yard. Your emotions work the same way. Something goes on here similar, okay? Which actually when you're dealing with people is you can't get what you want from that person. So that stimulates this anger that you had when you couldn't get what things you wanted when you're children. If you look behind your anger with other people, you will see that there is always an experience of I can't do or get what I want. I can't get the person to obey me, to listen, to understand, to cooperate, to love me, to accept me, whatever. But there will always be, behind all anger, there is always, I can't get something. And you created all this anger about that as a childhood when you were throwing your hissy fits. And all that anger is accumulated in masses in your subconscious. And when something happens in present time, okay, where you don't get from another person what you want, then one of these charges comes in you. Okay, the charge is not being created in present time. It's with you all the time in your subconscious, and you're carrying it around with you wherever you go. That's why the triggers are infinite, all the situations, events, and different people. But as you have the same emotional attacks, the same emotional charges over and over and over again. They come in, the trigger goes away, they subside, and they move back into your subconscious. It comes another trigger, another mass comes in, and you feel that anger or that sadness. You go to substances or you go to activities or whatever, and you get it to subside. But you're walking around all the time at the effect of these triggers with these masses coming in on you. The trigger is not creating them. It's not causing them. All it does is stimulate the emotional memory the same way that if you see a tree in the street that looks just like the tree in your front yard when you grew up, your whole memories of your childhood can come back to you, the front yard and the tree and playing in it or whatever you did, okay? The trigger is just a stimulus for these charges, these emotional memories that you have, okay? So this is very important, that the trigger does not create or cause emotional energy newly in the moment of the trigger. All it does is stimulate these charges of emotion that you're carrying around with you every time, wherever you go. And for these charges, almost anything can be a trigger. Anything negative that you can consider negative can trigger off one of these, because this is what happened in your childhood. Okay? So the next step in your journey to true happiness on the path of Psycanics is for you to dispel, to destroy the fatal hallucination that external events cause your experience, your emotions, that they can produce happiness and that they cause your pain, unhappiness, pain, or suffering, that they cause your negative emotions. We've got to disconnect you in your paradigms, in your beliefs, from the idea that external things are causing your negative emotions. Okay? Now this is the make or break point for the human being in getting out of life of drama, effect, activations, negative emotions, triggers, events, and external quests for mops, to move into a new level of being, which is one of I am responsible for my experience. I am the creator of my experience, and therefore I have full control. And now I am free of the world. I don't need anything of the world to be happy all the time. I don't need anything from the world to stop suffering. It all depends on me. It's all within me. And this is a tremendously powerful experience and a tremendously liberating experience when you have it. Okay, now, we haven't said anything much about how you control this. We just say that we've got to break the hallucination, the fatal hallucination, that external things can cause your happiness when all they do is give mops, or that negative things trigger or cause your negative emotions. They trigger them, but they don't cause or create them. They are masses that you're carrying with you all the time. Okay? So when you move from this thing of blaming the outside world, trying to control the outside world, to control your internal psychanic experience, to realizing you're the creator of your emotions, and therefore your happiness or your suffering in life, and you have the power to create happiness all the time. You have power over your negative emotions. You can discreate the negative ones and create positive ones all the time, no matter what's going on around you, because life is always going to be positive and negatives. Okay, and this is the path to true happiness. Okay, so the next step in helping you to dispel or destroy the fatal illumination is we're going to go to scientific proof that external events never cause your emotions. Okay, and that they never cause your unhappiness, pain, or suffering in life. And this law is called the law of consistency of cause and effect. Okay? It's not hard to understand. Okay. The law of consistency of cause says that any given cause always produces its effects and only its effects. All right? We're going to see that. Okay? It does not produce the effects of other causes. All right, this may not be clear right now, but just absorb these ideas because we're going to illustrate them. Okay, let's start with the physical universe and examine consistency of cause in the physical universe, okay? Let's start with sugar. Okay, over here we have the event, the trigger, if you wish, and over here we're going to put all human beings, okay? Now, sugar causes the flavor of sweet in all human beings. Okay, now if there's some people that are normally and they don't have taste buds right, that's irrelevant. There's a reason, a cause why they don't experience sweet with sugar. Okay, we're just talking about normal human beings. All right, so would you agree that for normal human beings, sugar causes sweet, the same experience in all of them? nobody would mistake sugar for acid, for example, right? So here we have consistency of cause. Here's the cause, and here's the effect. The effect is sweet, okay? That sugar always produces that experience of sweet for all people every time. You can trust that, okay? That's consistency of cause, okay? Let's see it again for salt. Okay, here's our trigger event, the external event, okay? And here's all the people, right? And we would again agree that salt causes the taste of salt for all people, always the same experience of salt. Nobody's going to mistake salt for sugar. All right? So again, there is consistency of the cause of salt and of its experience. Okay, take the example of fire or heat. Okay, again, we have the same situation. It causes hot or burns all people the same. Okay, and we can always trust that fire is going to burn. It's going to cause heat for everybody all the time. That's consistency of cause. Okay, and the same thing on the other side. We take ice. Ice is the cause. What experience does it produce? It produces cold to all people the same. Okay, so there is consistency of cause between physical things and human physical experience. Physical causes of physical experiences always produce the same experience for everyone every time, and they do not produce other experiences. Sugar does not produce salt. Fire does not produce cold. Okay? This is consistency of cause. And when there is consistency of cause, then we know there's a cause-effect relationship. Okay. Every day, you bet your life on consistency of cause in the physical universe. Okay? When you drive a car, you are trusting that when you turn to the right, the wheels are going to go right and the car is going to go right. You trust that when you step on the brake, you're going to slow down and stop. When you step on the accelerator, you're going to accelerate, right? What would happen if you're riding down there and you turn the wheel to the right, but the car goes to the left? What would happen if you stepped on the accelerator and the car stops and then goes into reverse, and you step on the brake and it accelerates? Okay, and the next time when you turn on the radio, the car accelerates. And you turn the wheel to the left and the car backs up. See, because here there's no consistency of cause. You do something trying to cause something, but it gives you some random effect that you have no idea what it is. And it not only doesn't consistently give you that effect, but the next time it gives you another effect. One time it turns right, the next time it turns left, the next time it backs up, the next time it accelerates every time you move the wheel. That would be no consistency of cause. And of course, you would soon be in an accident if that happened, because the car would not be consistently obeying your control commands. Okay? Life would not work without consistency of the cause in the physical universe. Okay? Some random effect would soon kill you, like turning your car to go to the right and it goes to the left, or stepping on the brake to stop and it accelerates. Okay? You would have no control because there's no consistency of cause. And things would just happen and there's no control. Life would not work like that. Okay? So consistency of cause exists in the physical universe. It's absolutely rigid and it's absolutely dependable. Okay, now we want to go and examine cause effect and the consistency in your internal universe, in your psychanic universe. Okay? Your psychanic universe is all your non-physical energies and experiences. It's all your thoughts, it's your mind, it's your emotions, it's your identities, it's your values, it's your memories, it's your motivations and impulses to behaviors, it's even your relationships. All that is psychanic. Now, I mean, touching somebody or hugging somebody is physical, but the relationship is actually a psychanic thing of energies and likes and dislikes and what you say and how the other person reacts and how you feel. The relationship is actually psychanic, not physical. Okay, so remember, you are a non-physical life energy entity of consciousness and will. You are a spirit. You are a globe, a sphere of aware will, and the technical name for that is Psycon. Okay? So here is a representation of you as will in the middle of a field of consciousness, which is your power to perceive, experience, and know your psychanic energies, your thoughts, and your emotions, and through the medium of your body and your brain to perceive and make sense of the physical universe. Okay? And will is your power of cause to decide, move energy, and to create, and to discreate your negative emotions. Okay? So you, Psycon, you as a spirit, you live in two universes. Okay? The first is the physical universe, what we call the Fu, okay, which you are using a body to locate in that and to play, enjoy, and explore what is the human experience, the human movie, okay? But you also have a psychanic universe, it's another dimension of energies that can't be captured or measured with physical instruments, like your emotions, like your thoughts, like your memories, like your values. Okay, this is your interior private world of all that you know, think, and feel. It's not physical. It's a transphysical dimension. It's another kind of energy that you as a spirit, as consciousness, can perceive. But it's not in the physical universe, and it can't be measured or captured with physical instruments. Okay, so you as a spirit have your physical universe with your body, by means of your body, and you have a non-physical, transphysical dimension of experience with emotions and thoughts and everything that you experience directly in consciousness. Okay? Your brain is your instrument of connection between the two. Okay? So here's your brain, okay, and here in your perceptions here, okay, perceptions go up into your consciousness, and commands to control the body and move it and stuff come down from you, the Psycon, who is a will, down through your brain into your body. And that's how you control your body, okay? You're like here, let's say, and perceptions from your body, your eyes, your ears, all these things get in your brain. They get transduced into transphysical, psychanic energy. You experience them, and then you send commands down to your body, and you move your body in your physical universe. Okay? Now, a common error that people make is they confuse the brain with the mind. They're two entirely different things. The brain is a physical organ. The mind is a transphysical ability or capacity of you, the aware will spirit. We're not going to go into that now, but later, if you continue to study Psycanics, you will go very deeply into the nature of the mind and how it works. Okay, so your Psycanic universe contains everything that is your non-physical experience, all that makes you a unique human being. Okay, so in this space of energy around you, there's an enormous, like a computer program, that contains your thoughts, memories, knowledge, beliefs, values, identities, self-esteem, your personality, your character, your likes and dislikes, goals, behaviors. All of that is psychanic energy programming around you, the aware will spiritual being that gives you these experiences. Okay? Now, what interests us here is not all of that we just mentioned, but rather your emotions, okay, particularly your negative emotions. Here in your subconscious, like here is fear, here's depression, here's guilt, sadness. These are masses of energy sitting in your consciousness that you've created in your past, okay, and they continue to exist because you have not yet discreated them. That's where we're going, is how do I discreate these negative emotional masses? Okay, now, let's examine consistency of cause in your psychanic experience, in your psychanic world, particularly as related to your emotions, which is, remember, your emotions, positive and negative, are your happiness, UPS polarity. Record this. Your emotions are how you feel, and happiness is simply how you feel. Unhappiness is also a feeling. There's no difference between emotions and happiness and unhappiness. That's the energy of happiness or pain and suffering, is your emotions. Okay? What is immediately powerfully obvious is that in the Psycanic universe, there is no consistency of cause between events in the physical universe and your emotions. Okay? Your thoughts also, but we're interested here in your emotions. Okay? So here's your Psycanic universe, which consists of you, will, your awareness or consciousness, and your subconscious. And remember, here are all these energies, realities, programming, values. Now, we're only interested in your emotions, but here are all of your negative emotion masses. Remember, your NIMS, your negative emotions charges that you've been creating and storing up, accumulating since childhood. Okay. And here's where there's no consistent cause. For any given event, for any given trigger, there is always a multitude, a spectrum of human psychanic experience. That means mental and emotional experiences. Let's see that. Okay? Okay. So here, okay, we have the event of a snake, correct? Here we have all human beings. Okay, and all of them are perceiving the snake, okay? What kind of experience do they have, okay? Well, the range of experiences goes from very negative, from panic and fear and hate and I want to kill the snake, okay, to somebody that just goes into effect and they want to run away or hide from it, okay? So here we have attack and kill. Here we have paralyzed with fear. Here we have a mild interest, and here we have somebody that loves snakes. They keep them as pets. Okay? So if we put all human beings here, there would be this whole range from hate and fear and kill it, to run away, to interest, but I'm not going to get very close, to people that love them and have them as pets, even the poisonous ones. Okay? So the human experience to this one same cause or trigger is the entire polarity of possibilities. Okay? So there's no consistency of cause. Okay, it's the same cause, but human experience is varying against the whole polarity from the most negative to the most positive. Okay? So we're not seeing that the same event or trigger is causing the same experience in everybody all the time as we see with physical things like salt, sugar, fire, and cold. Okay? On the contrary, we have exactly the opposite. It's the same event, but the infinity of human experience is a wide, wide range. Okay? Let's see that again with another. Again, we're going to put here all human beings. Here's the polarity of human experience. This goes here from very negative, from hating, wanting to kill him, whatever, and this going to be up his greatest fan. All right? And we're using as our trigger event, as our external situation, circumstance, Trump. Okay? Now, does everybody have the same experience about Trump? Obviously not, okay? Obviously there's a huge range of it. There's people here that are in indifference to Trump, that they don't care. There are people that would like to kill him, okay? There are people that think he's the greatest thing since John F. Kennedy, the greatest president, whatever. Okay? So again, there is no consistency of cause. Okay, consistency of cause says that a true cause always produces the same experience in everybody all the time and does not produce any other experiences except its own. And that's not what we have here. We have the total opposite. We have the same event and we have a multiplicity, an infinidad of experiences. Total the gradient from the blackest hate up to love and appreciation. Okay? No consistency of cause between the physical universe and psychanic experience. Okay, let's take another one. Again, we start with all human beings. We start with our scale of experience here from maximum negative up to positive. And we use the event of divorce. Okay, there are people who have been traumatized by their divorce. There are people who have been traumatized by it years. It was the great failure of their life, and they're in resentment and hate with their ex for leaving them. And they're creating all this drama and trauma around divorce, and they're carrying that around with them for years. And there are other people that when they divorce, oh, they feel so free and they're happy. Okay? And you have everything. You have people that divorce and it's not too important in their life. People that divorce and they consider it negative, maybe a failure, and maybe they're sad about it. Okay? But it's no big deal. Okay? The point is that we have one and the same cause, and in human psychanic experience, in thoughts and emotions and evaluations and opinions about this event of divorce, we have an infinity of human experience, from the most negative to the most positive and everything between. There is no consistency of cause, as there is with sugar causing the same experience, salt, same experience, fire, same experience, cold, same experience. In the psychanic universe, in relationship to physical events, there is no consistency of cause. What we have is enormous variability of experience. Therefore, there is no relation of cause. We'll get to this, to a final proof of that. Let's take one last example here. Let's take the death of a parent, okay, or the death of anyone. It doesn't matter who it is, okay? But parents, you know, they have people who hated their parents, and therefore they're glad their parents are dead, okay? You have people that are suffering for it, people that accept it as part of life, you know? If you live, you die. I'm going to die. Everybody's going to die. Why get excited about it? It's one of the few things you can absolutely trust in life, is that you're going to die. And if you haven't lived your whole life in the consciousness of your death, and in the acceptance of it, and in the preparation for it by living a good life, then what the hell are you doing? Okay? So people that are running around and no confront on dying or fear of dying, well, they need to discreate that fear so that they can come to accept it. Okay? And they have other people that are glad their parents are died because they're going to get an inheritance and they didn't like them much anyway. Okay? So again, we take the death of any person, and the range of human experience goes from most negative to most positive. Okay? So one causal event, cause, entre comillas, okay, and an infinite variety of experiences, of human experiences about that same event. There is no consistency of cause. Okay? And we can continue this process for any and every event in the world, okay? Let's take 9/11 when they destroyed the towers, okay? Again, look at the experience, okay? Most Americans were grieved. Some were traumatized. Many people around the world were relatively indifferent, okay? For example, where I live, which is in Mexico, it wasn't any big deal, you know. Oh, well, that's too bad. That's kind of was their attitude here now. But even in New York, okay, there's a report of a gold trader that said, oh, how horrible is it? And he thought, God, I wonder how my gold's doing. I must be rich, okay? So he had on one side the grieving experience, or how horrible on the other. He had, wow, I must be rich. He was happy about it, okay? And then you have radical Muslims around the world that rejoiced about it, okay? So again, we have this enormous scale of experiences about a one and the same event. No consistency of cause, okay? So to the point of all this is scientifically, okay, absolute scientific proof here. The cause of the variation of effects, which in this is human experience, how people feel and think, cannot be in that which is unvarying, that is, the event. The event's the same, okay? Okay, in the physical universe, obviously the cause and the effects do not vary. But when we go to the psychanic universe, we start with physical events, and we go to the psychanic universe, then there's an enormous variation. Okay? But the cause, the trigger event, is not varying. Therefore, the cause of the variations of effects of human experience and emotions cannot be in that which is unvarying, that is, the event. Okay? The event is a constant. It's an unvariable. Okay? Scientifically, the cause of the variation of experience over here can only be in that which is a varying, that is, in each person. Okay? The difference in the creation of the emotions and the thoughts and the opinions and the resistances and the likes and the dislikes and the aversions and whether this is good or bad, all of that exists over here in the being, because you are the creator of your psychanic experience, of your thoughts and your emotions. Okay? Not the external world. This has no power to cause you either happiness or suffering. Okay? Now, again, people are living in the fatal illusion that, yes, what happens over here causes my experience. But that is the fatal hallucination, the one that stops you from moving out of no control over your negative emotions or your positive emotions and trying to control the external world to control your experience and be happy, which we have said is impossible, into, wow, I'm the creator. I am responsible for what I feel. I have a power to create and discreate my emotions. I can discreate my negative ones permanently. I can create my positive ones and live in them all the time, no matter what happens in the external world. I am free of the external world. I am powerful. I have the power. I am not the emotional victim of anybody or anything. Okay, this is the state, the realization that we're looking that you arrive to with this video. Okay? Because that's the make or break point for the human being between living down here in drama and trauma and pain and suffering, or moving up into true happiness all the time, no matter what. Okay? So there is no consistency of cause between any external event and human psychanic experience. There is no cause-effect relationship between the foo over here, which is your physical universe, and your poo, which is your psychanic universe. There's no cause-effect relationship. Nothing here can make you feel or think anything here. Okay, and the fatal hallucination is living in this illusion that this does cause this, which we said is not true. Okay? There are no cables, remote control, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, or any other connection between your two dimensions of experience. External events are never the cause of your internal experience, of your emotions, positive or negative, especially of your negative emotions, which are the only unhappiness, pain, and suffering that exists for you. Remember, your UPS is the emotions. It's not the events or not the circumstances. They don't do anything to you. They don't cause suffering. You can be totally happy in the worst of events, or you can be in the best of events and be suffering your negative emotions. Nothing external to you ever makes you feel anything, positive or negative. Nothing external to you ever makes you suffer. Nor can anything external ever produce true happiness. It can give you mops, but mops are short-lived and they always pass, and you still have all your negative emotions. Okay? Nothing you do in the external will ever stop your mod activations of your negative emotions or produce for you true happiness all the time, no matter what, that you can't lose, that you're always in passion and joy and serenity, no matter what happens, no matter what you achieve or what you lose or what somebody does or says to you. That's true happiness. You are impregnable, impervious to the world. You don't need it to be happy, and nothing in it can cause you pain and suffering. That is true happiness. You, Psychan, the aware will spiritual being that you are, that comes down here into a human body to experience the human movie, because you're in a human movie. That's what you're doing here. You're playing and experiencing what is the human experience. Okay? You are the sole creator of all your internal, your psychanic experience, your emotions, and therefore your happiness or your suffering. Until you grok this and act accordingly, okay, there is no hope that you will ever be much happier than you are now or than you have been, because you'll still be operating down here in the external quest, the impossible dream of happiness, by trying to control your internal emotional state, which is happiness and pain and suffering, by controlling the external world. Okay? And of course, there's always a danger that any time you will become much more happier when negative events occur in your life, which will always happen sooner or later, okay? Someone dies and you're in grief. You get a divorce and it tears your life up. Okay? You're always subject while you're living down here to greater pain than you're feeling right now. Okay? Now, if you would like to see an introduction to how your psychanic experience, particularly your emotions, really work, and an introduction to how to eliminate the negative ones to achieve true happiness, then go on to video 5. Thank you for your attention.